Hey everybody, welcome to Good Shepherd Mission Effectiveness. Today I am here with Sister Jean Marie Fernandez. Sister Jean Marie, thank you so much for being here with us today and letting all of these folks get to know you a little bit.
Thank you for inviting me to do this.
Yes. So Sister Jean Marie lives in San Francisco, California, and has a couple of really great, interesting ministries there that I'm excited to let her talk about and let you know about. So Sister Jean Marie, let's just go ahead and jump right in. First of all, can you tell us, how did you get your start with Good Shepherd?
Wow, that's an interesting question because I came from Singapore. Singapore is in East Asia, and I knew the Good Shepherds there, the sisters. And as you know, we are international, so we are in 72 countries. I grew up in Singapore. That was about 30 years ago when I met our sisters, maybe a little more than that. And I got to know them. And what really drew me to Good Shepherd is that, I was searching for a meaning and purpose in my life. What I want to do after high school, after college. Like, what is it? What would give meaning and purpose? So I was going around searching. And especially looking at different communities. There are a lot of communities, Franciscans, Dominicans, Good Shepherds, etc. And so I decided to visit the Good Shepherd sisters. And I went there, and I remember very clearly when Sister Frances, who's now deceased and gone to heaven, she opened the door and welcomed me in. I went with another friend of mine. And what I remember about being in her presence is that the being so warm, welcoming, and loving. I was in the presence of someone who was so inclusive and who started so willingly to tell me about Good Shepherd, which I really did not know. And she told me about the works they do there, taking in troubled kids, and the story of Marie Euphrasia, particularly the image of the Good Shepherd. That was what drew me, the image of the Good Shepherd, just the Marie Euphrasia's famous quote, "I only loved." I loved that. That felt that just hearing "I only loved" touched the core of my heart. And I said to myself, more than 30 years ago, I said to myself, wow, these sisters, their work is to love. And if that's all that matters, I want to do it. That will make a difference in the world. That's all that's needed, to just love. And so I got to know them. I said yes, joined the community, and the story unfolds to today, where that love has taken me.
Wow, thank you for that beginning. I think a lot of people in Good Shepherd would really resonate with that love and kindness that you first encounter when you come into a Good Shepherd place, whether it be one of the convents or meeting one of the sisters or even our Good Shepherd programs and agencies that we have. I think that feeling is universal in Good Shepherd. Yeah.
Yes,
so was there a time then after that, after you were initially drawn and you entered, that you knew that it was just reinforced that, yes, this is a good fit?
Yes. I think my experience has been, since I joined them, that there was a sense of being at home. I felt there's a sense of belonging, that these are the people who share a common purpose and meaning that I can contribute and be with. And during my formation years, I learned that, and I was with a group of sisters where we did things in common, community life, prayer life. And of course, there are always struggles and challenges. However, it's the call and the desire, that still continues to today. Deepening that being at home with a group of sisters, a group of lay mission partners that share a common purpose, a deep common purpose and meaning to what makes a difference in our world. That's what keeps me connected. And I know that's a good fit. That's a good fit. Yeah.
Jean Marie, is there, in your Good Shepherd journey, is there a particular person or two that sticks out as somebody who has been a particular encouragement to you in your Good Shepherd life? And do you have any stories about them that you might share?
Wow, I've many stories. I have plenty of stories. But one that comes to me because the early years of formation is a seed planted in my heart, and those stories stay with me. So in my early years of formation, there was a sister who also had my name, Jean Waddell. I don't know if you knew her.
I've heard her, yeah. I
Yes, Jean
know her by
Waddell.
reputation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was my formator. She was a superior in San Francisco. But I do remember when I was here in this country, studying here, I would come to visit the sisters in San Francisco. I was studying at the University of San Francisco. And I remember Jean Waddell welcoming me and, making me feel at home. And after I joined Good Shepherd, she was still here. I happened to go to Chicago for a meeting at that time. And during my time in Chicago, I had news of my mother's death. My mother passed away and I was devastated. I was so far away from home and I had to fly back to San Francisco immediately. So I came back and I remember Jean Waddell welcoming me back, standing at the door, waiting for me to come in. And she put her arms around me and just didn't say much. She didn't say too much, just stayed with me. But what she said following that day, when I returned back, was, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to be with you. I'll go to the airport with you and make sure you get on the plane. And I want to do that for you. And that was a great inspiration and someone who gave herself, present to me and did not say too much. Just, I will be with you. That's all I needed. I didn't need to have anyone fix my grief or tell me it's okay. And then she said something to me, which I did not understand, but I remembered it and I kept it in my heart. She said the words of Marie Euphrasia. When Marie Euphrasia was on her deathbed, she quoted the words, remember this, Jean Marie, she said, I press the will of God to my heart. It has covered me with bruises. I press the will of God to my heart. It has covered me with bruises. And I still go back to that quote of Marie Euphrasia, when I'm grief-stricken, when things are difficult, that is this the will of God? And there are bruises and wounds. And I still keep it pressed within my heart because there'll be healing, there'll be transformation, because God is all this. So Jean Waddell will be the sister that I can show gratitude and speak of very fondly. And I know she's praying for us here in this province, who has inspired me tremendously.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. I always think it's so important to remember who those people are, those good shepherds are that really show us what the love of God and what Good Shepherd is all about, because we as a group, as a congregation and an organization make incredible impacts on the world in some very big ways, but it's those very personal touch ways that I find really meaningful too. And those are the things that make me feel really encouraged, especially when I start to feel the bruises that you're talking about.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
That's right. Yeah.
So Jean Marie, I know probably in your time with Good Shepherd, you've had several different ministries, I'm sure. I was wondering if maybe you could just share a couple of those with us, and then what ministries are you a part of right now?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've been stretched far and wide with so many different ministries with women and children, uh, women with special needs, recovery, residential programs. But currently, I am at St. Vincent de Paul organization here in San Francisco. I work in this agency as a case manager and counselor, working with the homeless men and women that come into this shelter. Particularly, I work at the drop-in center, and I was drawn to this particular work because it's really Good Shepherd. You know, it brings in the core values, the dignity of a human person, zeal, that no matter how much poverty and homelessness I see in this particular ministry, that zeal keeps me moving forward, not to give up hope. Mercy, which is so much a part of this healing ministry, and reconciliation. So I see Good Shepherd practicing who I am in this current ministry at Vincent de Paul at this homeless shelter.
And then you currently are also a member of the province leadership team. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes, I am also in the province leadership team, and I'm now 6 years in the leadership team, and it's a special grace to be on this particular team because my role and our team approach is to look at the vision of our province and to care for our sisters and to keep the mission forward. So I do have a lot of traveling to St. Louis where we hold our meetings. As part of the leadership team, I also do vocation formation ministry. You know, we have certain sisters that we connect with, and I work with Sister Eileen, who is residing in California at a residential senior care facility. So in our leadership team, we take on different tasks. So we share the responsibility so that we are together working for the good of the province, to keep the province in view and the vision and the mission to go forward. It's been a grace for me to be in this role in leadership. It's not always an easy place to be in. However, together, we work together, and it's also partnering with the members, partnering with the sisters. We don't do it alone on this team. You know, we partner with our membership, and everyone has gifts to share and be part of. That's been my experience. You know, we are in this together. So that makes it much easier and meaningful and lighten our burden in that way.
Yeah, it sure makes it a lot more fun when you can share
Yes.
that with people. So, well, I
Yeah.
know in the past 6 years, this particular leadership team has really led our province through a lot of changes and transitions, certainly some very turbulent times in our country here in the US and in our province. And so again, just a word of gratitude to you and to the leadership team for everything that you guys do to support our province, the sisters and the programs.
Thank you.
The guidance you guys provide for us is really incredible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Sister Jean Marie, when you think about your ministries, either at St. Vincent de Paul, and I'll include the link to that ministry in the video description. So for anybody who is curious about this ministry, really cool. I know things have certainly undergone a change, I'm sure,
Yes.
given the COVID-19 pandemic that we are still continuing to be in the moment. But do please go check out that website and check out Sister Jean Marie's ministry there at St. Vincent de Paul in San Francisco. So in your ministries, Jean Marie, I was wondering if you could share maybe one thing that brings a spark of joy to your life and to your days. What's joyful about your particular ministry?
What's joyful? I'll go back to that love I shared in the beginning, that seed that was planted. Because in this ministry, all I do is just be present and love. Love meaning when someone comes into my office, you know what? I have no place to give them a shelter or a housing. You know, housing, the crisis and the homelessness in San Francisco, the resources are very difficult to navigate these homeless, to get into these agencies and housing and jobs, and they're dealing with mental health, they're dealing with all kinds of deficits in their lives. And so sometimes I'm helpless. I don't have, the places they can go to. What I can provide is love. I can provide that. I can provide presence. I can provide a tangible, visible face to these people, these homeless. So when they come to me, what gives me joy is to be in their presence, to hear them deeply, to hear their stories, to hear their struggles, not to fix them, just to be present. And I say that because these men and women are lost in the cracks. They're invisible in our society. They are pushed away. They are judged. Often they'll tell me that no one wants to listen to me. I don't smell clean. I don't have clean clothes. I am a drug addict. I have a lot of things, stigma. And I say, you can still come into my office and sit with me. So the joy is to see the poor who are powerless, dismissed, less in society, to see them as God's poor ones, to see them as God's chosen ones. And, that connection, that relationship is healing. That presence, that encounter, that love is the joy. And planting those seeds, I may see them for one day, maybe I'll never see them again, and that's okay. That moment of interaction, to be very mindful that this is a God's child in front of me, and to give the very best. That's what matters. And I can leave my office daily, come home and say, I did the best for today. I did all I can. And I've planted seeds, and not only that, they too give me joy. It's a mutual encounter. In fact, they teach me much more than I can give them. That's the greatest joy. They are benefactors to my vocation. Without them, I will not be where I am. So that joy is that relationship, that presence, the changes I see in their lives when they keep coming back. Or I see them in a different setting, a different person. Those are little joys. And most importantly, what has transformed in my heart, that's the joy, that I have become a better person because of them. Because of them, I am stretched, and I'm a better good shepherd where God calls me to be.
Jean Marie, I'm really glad you brought up that piece of mutuality in the relationships, because I think that's something so special and so unique and vital that I've noticed in just the 12 years that I've been with Good Shepherd as well. That there's no one person is above the other. That it really is a togetherness, that we benefit each other when we're connected to each other. And just the difference that makes. I love that universal humanity and connection that is such an emphasis. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is just one of the coolest things that I've noticed in my time with Good Shepherd as well.
Yes, great. Yeah.
So I almost hesitate to bring it up then, but the next question then is, what do you find very challenging about your work, and how do you deal with that?
Okay. What's challenging is also what I just said about the resources that are not available to help these people, the limited resources, because I see them standing outside in lines waiting to get in. I see them begging to get food. I see them begging to get me a shelter, get me a place to live in. I see them begging to get legal advice or, whatever their needs are. Sometimes it's impossible to provide all of that. Sometimes they have to wait for a long time to get an appointment at a doctor's clinic, and sometimes wait for a long time, months, to get housing. So those challenges those services or trying to get them into those places are very challenging. The other thing that's challenging is, I think for me, I live in the convent and I have a nice space. I have food. I can come back to the house. There's always food. I have shelter. I have everything here. When I go to my office, I don't have those things. I live poorly and I make choices, as the poor do. And what's challenging is to keep that in mind when I come back home. I cannot separate my work from who I am and where I live. So to have an attitude of simplicity, to have an attitude of choices that I make in my lifestyle, in the food I prepare, in not taking things for granted, to always remember that I have more than others have less than what I have, and to be so mindful of that. And what I do for myself is every night when I go to bed, I'll say a prayer for those I met today, because that will keep me focused. Keep me focused that, thank you, God, I am where I am and you have given me all this. So the challenge is to balance, to find harmony, to make choices that's compatible to religious life, and to continue to have that compassion in the midst of struggle and burnout and impatience and all that stuff that comes in the way, to continue to have compassion and to be resilient and to keep bouncing back, that zeal to keep bouncing back. That's not always easy. That's a challenge. Yeah.
So we know that in the community of Good Shepherd, there's a multitude of what we call mission partners. Mission partners can be sisters, they can be program staff, volunteers, benefactors, all types of different roles of people who willingly decide to partner in the Good Shepherd mission. Is there anything that you would like Good Shepherd mission partners to know, or that you would like to say to them?
Yes, I'm speaking from the vocation of a Good Shepherd sister. That's the call, my vocation. I want to say to all the mission partners that you too have a vocation and you are called to this particular vocation. That this vocation is just as holy as and good as mine. It's the same, it's not higher or lower. That vocation, that call is very special, and each one of you have answered that call, and I am inspired by your commitment, your dedication, your zeal inspires me, and together we can make a difference in the world. So I just want to speak about that vocation, that commitment, that you are also called to that, and that's a beautiful calling, and that keeps vocation, the culture of vocations, very broad. It's not just specific to Good Shepherd. The culture of vocations is for the church, for the mission. So I want to encourage and just say that we can work together. And I love this quote of Frederick Buchner. I think that's how his last name is pronounced. He talks about vocation. The place God calls you to, the place God calls you to, is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. That's vocation. So that's the message I want to give to the mission partners, that it's great to be together in this. It's great to be together to forward the mission.
It is. It is. And what an honor and like you said, a gladness that we all have to be able to do things like show love to people that we come into contact with every day.
Yes.
So thank you for that word.
Thank you. And maybe I'll just say, whatever your experiences, there'll be ups and downs, disappointments and success. Do know that the sisters feel the same. We too have ups and downs, disappointments and failures, and the emotions. Humanity is one. So think of us when you think of, today is not a good day for me, and I'm just not the very best. There is a good shepherd sister who's experiencing the same somewhere in the world. And when I feel down and out, I can think of a good shepherd partner somewhere in the world who I can connect with. So I want to say that we share that peace, and to remember we can strengthen one another in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wanted to bring that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does make sense, and I think that point that you brought out about it's a very similar and same calling that we are hearing, and the way that we commit to it and live our lives out through it is going to look different for some people, but we really are in it together, carrying the same mission.
That's right.
Desire for the world, and I think for our lives, for the kind of people that we want to be. And I have too often thought, when the days get really hard and the work is really hard, that there's somebody, I'm going to bed tonight, and somebody on the other side of the world is waking up doing the same thing with the same heart and the same intent.
That's right.
What a joy and strength it is to be connected to such an incredible world of people. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Jean Marie, we're coming to the close of our time together, and just wanted to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to share? Anything we need to know about what's happening in San Francisco or with your community? Just anything else that you might want to share before we go?
Well, I'll just say that at this time of this pandemic and COVID-19 crisis in our country, our health crisis, so much is going on. And now with the protests and anti-racism, all that's going on, let's just together be mindful of having our voice heard for the good of the people, and to continue raising our voices. And so it's not only our country, but the global world is joining us. The global world, people all over the world want justice. They want freedom, rights and dignity of the human person. So all of us to just keep in mind to pray together, to stand in solidarity, to make a difference by having our voice out there. So this will not continue. There'll be a stop to all of this.
Thank you. Very, very good word for this time that we're in.
Yes.
Jean Marie, thank you so much for joining me today and taking some time out of your day to let other shepherds get to know you a little bit. Again, folks, everybody, thank you for being here, and I'm so glad that you had the chance to learn a little bit about Sister Jean Marie and her ministry, and just what an incredible person she is and that you're connected to. So again, I'll have the link to St. Vincent de Paul in San Francisco in the video description, so please go check that out and see even the broader ministries that Good Shepherd is a part of. So thank you again, and we'll see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Lizzie.